Hold on, black people. You want me to support Carmelo Anthony when you know he took that weapon and stuck it in that boy's chest? There ain't no way, boy. There ain't no way.
Yes, my friend, that is exactly what they want you to do. And if you don't, they'll disown you. They'll say you ain't black. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. What are you, a coon? What are you bowing down to the white man because you won't admit that murder is wrong? And you see, this is why I've been saying that so many people are scared to speak out about this case. And when I say that, everyone just assumes that I'm only talking about white people, but I'm not. Black people are afraid to speak out about this case as well. Because in the black community, there's an extreme amount of pressure to all think the same. Everyone's got to have the same opinion. It's weird. And it's not something that you see in a lot of other cultures. But it's like everyone has to be hooked up to this hive mind. And if you step out of line, oh boy, is it a problem. And I think a lot of it is pushed by left-wing politics. Because if you ever see someone in the black community, step up and think for themselves, maybe go against what Democrats think or something like that, it's like they become public enemy number one. They become ousted from their own communities. So there's plenty of rational black people out there, obviously. We know that there is a portion of the black community that is backing up Carmelo Anthony, and they promote this wicked culture of death and murder and all of that nonsense. But a lot of the rational black people are afraid to speak out because they'll be targeted just like the white people will be, right? If you're white and you speak up about it, you're afraid you may be called racist, right? Which we got to get away from that. People need to get away from being afraid to have these meaningless labels placed on you. If someone called you racist maybe 20 or 30 years ago, yeah, it probably meant something back then, right? Because words used to have meaning, and you used to not accuse people of random things if you knew it wasn't really true. But nowadays, everything is racist, right? If you're against a black child stabbing a white child in the chest at a track meet, oh, that's racist. It can't be because murder is wrong. No, there has to be a racial aspect to it, according to other people. And I know that very well. I see that and understand that more than your average person. Because let's use my YouTube channel, for example. Some of you maybe just found my channel from this case. But it's not like this is the first case I've ever talked about. And most of the cases I talk about involve white murderers. Thousands of videos talking about white murderers. Never on my channel, you can ask people who have been here for years, I never on my channel, some channels do, I never side with a murderer on my channel. I never side with the suspect on my channel. I am always on the side of the victims. I am always going against the murderers and the people who back them up. This case is nothing different or new compared to all of the other cases I've covered. But one thing I've noticed, I can make 200 videos involving true crime cases that basically include nothing but white people. And then I can make one video, cover one story involving a black criminal, and all of a sudden I'm racist. I'm racist for saying murder is wrong when it's a black murderer, But when it's a white murderer, it's okay. Hey, have a field day. Talk about this case all day. There's nothing wrong. So it's easy for me to see that people have this, oh, we got to clutch our pearls. Oh my God, this really sensitive, weird reaction when I'm just doing things how I usually do it. Everyone thinks that, oh my God, people are being so hard on Karmelo and Karmelo's family. Y'all should have seen how Brian Laundrie and Brian Laundrie's parents were treated. You think that us saying, oh, you know, Carmelo Anthony's family is phony for sitting up here and playing the victim. Y'all think that's bad? You should have seen what happened to Brian Laundrie's parents. If any of you all followed the Gabby Petito case, you know they had people outside their house yelling with bullhorns and stuff, okay? So what's happening to Carmelo's parents? It is nothing compared to any other case I've ever seen. No one's really bothering them. I know what it looks like when murderers' parents are bothered. And trust me, it gets crazy in these cases. Carmelo's family is not experiencing what we see people experience. I'm talking about having 13, 14 people camping outside of your house all day with bullhorns, playing music, harassing you 24/7. We've seen that in many cases that we've covered here on this channel. Carmelo's family isn't getting any treatment that other families don't get when they're involved in cases like this. In fact, Carmelo's family is getting better treatment than basically any case that I've ever covered when it comes to a case involving a family that is taking up for their murderer child. But there's this different reaction. Oh my God, we got to be so sensitive because of, oh, it just happens to be a person that's this skin color that killed a person that's this skin color. And that's sickening. It's frustrating. But I'm basically used to it because anytime I cover a case involving someone that's not white, that happens to be black, oh my God, it's so racist to acknowledge crimes committed by people who aren't white. But yeah, white people are afraid and hesitant to speak out about the case because of the labels that may be placed on them. And black people are afraid and hesitant to speak out about the case because they don't want to be disowned. They don't want to have certain labels placed on them as well. But this case, it's really spreading. A lot of people are talking about it. And the more people who talk about it, the more rational takes we're going to start hearing. Because a lot of these irrational, crazy, racist people have been swirling this story all up, adding all of this fake information, going off the rails, you know, just wanting crazy things like Austin's twin brother arrested, all of this crazy stuff. But as this story spreads, and it's spreading everywhere, we're starting to hear some more rational takes come forward as well. And that's really refreshing. And like I said, this story is spreading everywhere. I'm seeing people talk about it who I never thought would talk about it. For example, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big fan of stand-up comedy. I love the show or the podcast Kill Tony. Do any of you all watch that? Let me know down in the comments below. Well, I came across a video of a guy named Ty Rivera. And I know him from his appearances on Kill Tony. He's a stand-up comedian. And I was really surprised to see even him weighing in on this case. Because this case is getting pretty big. It's spreading. But I don't think it's a case that's gotten big enough that we're going to start hearing, you know, big podcasters like Joe Rogan and, you know, big comedians and stuff weighing in on the case. But this guy posted a video giving his take on the case. I'm not saying you have to agree with him. I'm not saying that I agree with everything he says, but I found it interesting that, you know, this case has made it even to those corners where people who are, you know, doing stand-up comedy and stuff with the biggest stand-up comedians in the world, they're even giving their opinion on the case now. So I wanted you guys to hear what he had to say. I'm going to play that video in just a second, but first, people often ask, how can they support the channel? And the answer to that question is very simple. You can support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, sharing the video on social media, and by ringing that notification bell. These are all free, quick, and easy ways to support the channel. But if you want to take your support one step further, you could always send a super thanks or a cash app. Always greatly appreciated, and it's always needed over here on this platform where they don't like us telling the truth and speaking our minds too much, okay? But with that being said, let's go ahead and roll this clip, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
I made that post about Carmelo Anthony the other day, and it's gotten quite a few comments, and the dumbest ones are the people that are like, Austin is no longer alive and Carmelo is still here, and making it sound like that's an actual win. I don't know if you've ever met anybody that has actually unalived somebody, but even when it's truly justified self-defense, the amount of guilt they have, if they're not a complete psychopath, which I think Carmelo Anthony might be, but the amount of guilt that they have, even when it's completely justified, is really hard for them to live with. So if you think that Carmelo Anthony won because he unalived Austin Metcalf for pushing him, because really that's all any of the reports are saying, as much as so many of you lie because he's black, and that's the only reason you lie like that. It really is like no other justification other than he's black. Like, even when you guys bring up Kyle Rittenhouse and George Zimmerman and you compare them, what you're saying is that George Zimmerman was wrong, Kyle Rittenhouse was wrong, and now just because he's black, Carmelo Anthony should get to be wrong too. But if you really think that about George Zimmerman and Kyle Rittenhouse, you didn't pay attention to the trials at all. All you did was go off the fact that Trayvon Martin was black, and in the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, it was just the fact that he was white, because Kyle Rittenhouse didn't unalive black people. So maybe you just want it to be where black people get to be wrong, but you're not paying attention to any of the cases. And I don't really care if anybody says that I'm racist for telling the truth, because really that's what it is. And most of the people that would call me racist anyway would be the kind of people that I'm not interested in having follow me in the first place, because I do have black friends. They all have money. So I don't believe in the fact that racism and oppression or all these things, these insurmountable odds that black people can't get past. The fact is, in this country, everybody, no matter what they are, has their thing they have to work against. Whether you're a black person, a white person, an LGBT person, a Latino, an Asian, an Indian, it doesn't matter who you are. You have shit to work against. So, or I should say you have shit working against you. So the fact that certain black people, which are turning into a very small but loud minority, it's almost like black people are turning into the new trans people, where absolutely everything is supposed to be excusable just based on the fact that you're black. And people aren't going for it. People are getting tired of it. People are just like, okay, you're black, so we're not worried about it. We're not holding it against you, but you want to use it for all of your failures and the fact that your circumstances will never change because you're always trying to look for something to blame externally. That's all I have to say about it. You know, also, if you think that Carmelo Anthony going to prison for a couple of years and not for his entire life is a win, you probably live in the projects. Enjoy your day.
So he made a couple of points early on in that video that I want to touch on right here. Because, you know, he said that, oh, you know, when you kill someone, the guilt really weighs heavy on you. And I'm sure that's true for most people. But I do not get the sense that guilt is weighing heavy on Carmelo Anthony right now. I do not get the sense that Carmelo is guilty. You know, or He's guilty for sure, but I don't think he's feeling guilty for what he did. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't get the sense that he feels guilt. And the reason I say that is because of the body language we saw him display when he got out of jail. The way he was walking, looking angry, as if the world did him wrong by locking him up for murdering someone, as if everyone else was the bad guy. The body language when they bonded him out, as he walked to the car, the look on his face and stuff, it really stuck out to me. And then, of course, once he got home, he did smiling photo shoots with rappers who were wearing his t-shirts and stuff like that. Also was taking these nice, sweet photos with grandma, just cheesing, smiling, looking like he's having a grand old time. But one of the main reasons I feel like Karmelo most likely doesn't feel guilt is because he has not been allowed to even go through that process. He's a 17-year-old. 17-year-olds, their brains, their minds are still developing. And right now, he's getting more support than he's ever had in his life. And that must be kind of weird to register. Here you just did the most horrible thing imaginable, but all of a sudden, oh my God, look at all of this support. Oh my God, look at hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars rolling in. Now all of a sudden, people are walking around with t-shirts with your face on it, a website declaring you a hero. And you got everyone around you. None of them are holding you accountable for what you did. No one has even acknowledged that what he did was wrong. They're making it out as though, oh, everyone else is wrong. Everyone else is the bad guy. Then he's got that activist network around him that are feeding him, oh, this is all because of racism. It's all the white man. They just want to bring you down. It's the white man's fault that you're being held accountable for plunging that knife in Austin's chest. It's because of racism. It's the bigoted white people. How dare they want to put you in jail after you murdered a child at the track meet? So Austin Metcalf's death, it hasn't, I don't think it's even fully sank in to Karmelo's mind yet. Because he hasn't had that time to even process that fully. And as he's going through the process of maybe trying to process that, he's got all of this other stuff thrown at him. If he had good parents that held him accountable and let him know what he did was wrong, I'm not saying they can't stand with him, but to pretend they're the victim and stuff like that, you got to understand that victimhood mentality is so damn strong. And maybe the parents are old enough to know better. And you could argue Carmelo's old enough to know better. But I don't think he feels guilt. If everything else that was going on wasn't going on, would he be capable of feeling guilt then? Maybe. If this story just happened and it didn't get all of the attention that it's getting, and the community didn't rally around him, and the new house and the hundreds of thousands of dollars and all of that, if all of that, none of that happened, and all that happened was he stabbed Austin in the chest and then had to go to jail for it, maybe he would have felt guilt. Maybe. But he also says, maybe he doesn't feel guilt because possibly Carmelo's a psychopath. And Ty Rivera says, yeah, he thinks that's a possibility. And that's another thing that I've wanted to bring up in past videos. What do you guys think? Do you think Carmelo's a psychopath? I know a lot of people have been commenting on like his cold stare and stuff like that. I don't necessarily think the kid's a psychopath. He seemed to have it together better than a lot of kids his age these days. I mean, besides the stabbing part and the fighting part, and Lord knows about that assault on February 4th and whatever else was going on, but he seemed to have it together better than a lot of kids these days. I don't think he was a psychopath. But I do think that there was something. I do think that there was something there. I don't think that this killer just came out of him in the spur of the moment. Because the fact that he was even carrying a knife in the first place, it kind of gives me the impression, and I mean, if you got common sense, it's easy to see, you're carrying a knife because you're anticipating that something may possibly happen. Right? And let's not sit here and pretend like Karmelo was living in the hood where, oh, you gotta carry a weapon to make sure you're okay out here. Which, I mean, carrying a knife around ain't gonna help you much in the hood anyway. You know, they got blocks with switches on them these days. Karmelo's living in a gated community with nothing but old white people. So he's not carrying around a weapon because he's living in a harsh area worried about what may happen. And it's not like he was going to the freaking club or a bar or something. He was going to a school track meet at like 10 in the morning carrying a knife for what? It lets you know that there was something going on in that child's mind. There was something going on in Karmelo's mind. And I feel like he worked himself up, probably prior to what happened, that, if someone bothers me or touches me while I got this knife, I'm going to do this. And then it happened. So do I think he's a psychopath? No. But I don't think that, the killer just came out of him in the spur of the moment. I think there was some sort of thought, there was something put into all of this before the action actually occurred. And the fact that he was packing the knife and he was so readily, as soon as someone said something to him that he didn't like, oh, I got a knife, don't bother me. Already reaching in the backpack automatically. It just lets you know that he already kind of worked himself up to, if someone does that or something happens, I'm going to do this, right? It's almost like it's premeditated in a way. But those are just a couple of points that I wanted to touch on. I want to hear from you guys. You let me know what you think about all of this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.